Hello, hockey fans. My name's Steven Wolf, and this is going to be my reaction to the latest video by UrinatingTree for the Haters Guide to the 2018 Stanley Cup Finals. And I have to say, I did not expect this final, especially with the two teams we have basically in the finals right now. I got some predictions right, some predictions wrong. If you want to see the video of who I picked in the finals, it'll be down and under the description below. But yeah, time for see what's UrinatingTree's opinion for all the teams who got eliminated from Stanley Cup contention. Oh boy. It'll be interesting things to say, and I'm really hoping it brings up the one thing I will miss forever about the Washington Capitals, but I won't reveal what it is until we see the rest of his reaction. But if he doesn't, I'll say at the end of the video. I hope I don't forget. So the final round of the playoffs about to begin on Monday. Let's see who are the contestants, but first let's see who got owned and had to wait another 6 months to basically prove their worth, or a year. And about 3, 2, 1, go.
Another postseason of losing years off of our lives and hair-pulling frustrations is finally at its winding point. Let's just say it's been interesting. Will we finally see bland narratives crushed to bits, or will the memes live on for another year? How'd everyone stack up? So it turns out it wasn't the absolute ass-kicking that most people were expecting it to be. Far from it, to be honest. The unfortunate thing is that they weren't at full strength with Varlamov and Johnson out. They just didn't have the guns to keep up with the Preds. Maybe they could have pulled off the series with them, but it was just not meant to be. You were the weakest team in the playoffs this year, although I will say this. You guys have turned a lot of heads. Be proud of your team. Nashville may have made an example of you in Game 6, but the Avs will be back. Once again, what a difference a year makes. We gather here today to mourn the death of the Minnesota Wild, a team that went into the postseason all but dead on arrival. In fact, the hockey gods deemed that you hadn't suffered enough, so they struck down Zach Parise as well. You could barely survive one, but two of your best players out for the series was a death blow. Even if the Jets hadn't won a playoff game until this point, they sucked out all of your life and willpower like a Hoover. They thrived off of your pain. The rest of the team, where the hell did they go off to anyway? Thinking about the golf course early, I assume.
Ouch.
Regardless, this may have been their last legitimate shot with this score. Chuck Fletcher has paid the price for this postseason ineptitude with his job.
Ouch.
You are the Blues of the North. Enjoy your misery. The aging king was poisoned by his trusty knight for a slow and painful death. Congratulations, Los Angeles. You were the first group to be swept by an expansion team in the playoffs. Not to say that you were embarrassed. Jonathan Quick was a beast. Unfortunately, nobody else got the memo that it was the postseason. The offense dissipated into gaseous fumes as the Kings tried to push around Vegas. They responded in kind.
And
the Knights didn't just beat you guys.
The Kings
they beat
did
you
their best, and I can't really fault them.
You couldn't match their speed and were burned as a result. How's that nice helping of karma taste,
Ouch.
Mr. Dowdy? Be comforted, though. You didn't suffer the fate your neighbors did. What in the literal fuck was that supposed to be? Wasn't this supposed to be some sort of series? It's like you guys blew your load late in the season and failed to do dickety shit come April. It wasn't even domination. What the Sharks did to you was what happened to vassals that defied the Great Khan. You were made an example of. Your cities were burned to the ground, your population slaughtered, and their carcasses sent to the four corners of the earth as a warning to all those that would defy them. When you bothered to show up, it was far too late. The damage was done. 4 goals all series? Are you fucking kidding me? Even your parents would disown you after such a performance. This is what you get when you bring in a retread of a coach in the hopes of reliving the glory years. You can wipe your tears away on some delicious duck confit.
Oh.
This is a bit of a dud. I expected you to give the Lightning a scare with your youth and speed. Unfortunately, the Lightning matched you at every turn. It was like watching the haves versus the have-nots of hockey. On one side, there was a goaltender. On the other, Keith Kincaid's renting of Marty's powers lapsed and he turned into Sheep Dog. On one side, there was death. On the other, it was given the electric chair. Not even Taylor Hall or Corey Schneider standing on his head could save you this time. Welcome back to the postseason, Jersey. Your tea time awaits you. I heard all you guys bitching about how I didn't give Toronto a chance this year, about how I was so wrong with my analysis of them. Was I really? It was quite obvious to anyone with eyes that the Bruins were the far superior team. In fact, the Maple Leafs did everything in their power to lose this series. Nazem Kadri made Brad Marchand look sympathetic in comparison. Their golden god Austin Matthews turned himself into stone and failed to make an impact. You could make the argument that Boston's most valuable players were Jake Gardiner and Nikita Zaitsev. As inconsistent as he was, Freddie Anderson was the only reason this series went to 7 games. He got no help from the rest of his squad.
A case where the goalie was awesome, but the offense
That team defense
sucked.
especially should hang their heads in shame. There is something to be said about giving your fan base the taste of playoff success, then ripping it away from them just as they reach for it. You had the Capitals.
I'm pretty sure this is going to be the
You
Browns
fucking
in a
had
few years
them,
if they
yet
ever,
you could never finish
God
them
forbid,
off.
ever
Washington
go
wins
back
4
to the
straight and the
playoffs.
Jackets fail to win a playoff series once again. Next time, tune in as Columbus learns not to take a fucking penalty or not give up more than 3 goals per game. That so-called scoring depth they had dissolved in acid and they simply chucked pucks at Holtby. Any chance of you not being laughed at is gone. You are now the least successful franchise in the NHL. Here is your trophy. Save it. I know exactly what you're going to say.
The Panthers should have been the
You had
one to
bigger
face this
problems
team,
than
not
goaltending
the
or officiating to
Flyers.
deal with. The team defense was on a metric scale between shit
guys
and
got
abysmal.
lucky.
That vaunted pair of Giroux and
But at least he
Voracek
got
all but
destroyed by
turned
the
into
Pens.
ghosts. The Lumberjack inadvertently cut down your first line center. And he still outperformed the rest of the team. That player you say fucking sucks? He ran carte blanche on your asses. Crosby owns your city like the British did during the colonial era. You were outplayed, outmanned, outwitted, outgunned, outfought, and outcoached. As a rival, I beg you, please keep that lifeless bore of a coach you have. It's fun to see your team deal with failed potential and shit goaltending. Your performance may have saved his job too. Well done. It is in these times when the catfish overthrow their yellow-donning oppressors and usurp power. They do this while being victimized by the almighty whiteout. Let's not lie to
Goodbye,
ourselves. The
finals
Preds looked
prediction.
flat and sluggish all postseason long. They had trouble taking out the goddamn Avs. Yet then came the X Factor. His name living on in the annals of memedom for generations. Pekka Rinne. Yes, my friends, we can safely say that he is too good right now. Far too good to make a routine save or not get pulled on
Someone made a
ice.
video of him
Here's an
predicting,
idea.
like,
Instead of saying the
Pickering
other
is too good
goaltender
right
sucks
now.
in a chance,
Basically
look
mimicking
inward
that,
and see how
looping it,
Roman
like,
Josi
several
and Ryan
times,
Ellis felt
making
his
fun
shit.
of him for
Kill
saying
those
it.
chants with scorching fire. It was cute last year. Now it's fucking cancerous. I knew you were going to find a way to break my heart. Losing to a fucking expansion team when you were looking like a cup contender, a very shameful display. I don't care if this was the best expansion team in NHL history. There is no excuse for the team having no answer for their speed or flubbing on prime scoring chances. By the way, I hope you enjoyed that little surprise I had for you. That repression has been years in the making. Let this finally be an end to this era of miserable failure. Jumbo Joe, thank you for your service, but your knee is foobar. Enjoy the retirement tour. Oh, thank
Peter
God
DeWolf,
I don't have to
I'm sorry.
pretend that I like this team anymore. The Bruins, once looking like a surefire cup contender, promptly chose to ignore all pretenses and lay a wet turd on the ice for 4 straight games. This action was personified by Brad Marchand from what I could tell, unleashing
Ew.
repressed homoerotic urges.
That's just, like,
it's
wrong.
okay,
You
Boston.
can-
You guys
I
can
even
just
would
blame
never,
the
no
officials.
matter how-
It's obviously their fault that the Bruins returned to being
Even
a one-line
people who,
team
like,
and
bash
Tampa
other players
outperformed you in
when
every
they're-
way.
they never
Cry
dare
me a
look at each
fucking
other.
river. You can bitch with Edmonton and Toronto in the back. I never thought that I would be livid at a back-to-back Stanley Cup champion. There was truly a first time for everything. What I saw was not a team with swagger, but a team that was paranoid about the voices in their head. The majority of the team shit the bed, but I can truly point the finger at a few key figures. Derek Brassard, Phil Kessel, and Chris Letang. That so-called depth chose to become liabilities at best throughout the series. At least Brassard and Kessel were injured. What the fuck is your excuse, Letang? This guy near single-handedly cost the team 2 games. If the Valley Girl is not fired into the fucking sun this offseason, then I'm going to rage harder than an entitled twat in a Starbucks line. Washington didn't fuck up, and they earned this series win. You killed off the meat. Steak, overused meat.
I knew he was gonna put that out. I will miss it too.
Before you was a team that
Miss
experienced
it
more
too.
success than they could
You
fathom,
lost to the
controlled the majority
effing
of play, yet
Penguins. I'm
still
gonna
got their
miss
asses
that
handed on a
forever.
platter. We call that rolling snake eyes. Despite player advantage, the Jets were grossly outplayed where it really mattered, on the bench and between the pipes. The American dream known as Connor Hellebuck ran out of fuel
Canada
just before
comes
the
so
tarmac,
close
thus
again.
spiraling to the ground in a fury
Maybe
wreck.
next
The
year.
whiteout in the true north dissipates for yet
And you lose
another
in the
summer of
finals.
discontent. Regardless, you've made it farther than Winnipeg has ever seen them go. They've accomplished basic steps of franchise competency like winning a playoff series and advancing to the 3rd round. The Atlanta
Are you
stench is
supposed
being
to?
cleansed. Showering for the next few years should kill it off fully. I can safely say you fuckers deserve every morsel of bile and vitriol that is coming your way. Way to fuck up a cup finals appearance placed on a tee, you underachieving pieces of shit. All of that noise you made before the playoffs results in you becoming the laughing stock of the league. Let's not lie to
If this
ourselves.
becomes the Florida
You
Panthers
joked.
next
You
year,
joked
I will
just like
be
every other fucking
crying.
year you've had in this window. Not even sniffing the back of the net in over 2.5 games, that's choking. Blowing the series when you were favorites to win it, that's choking. Flubbing on gimme goals right in front of the fucking net, that's textbook choking.
How
The
do you
baton
miss
has officially
that?
been passed. You are the new Washington Capitals.
Ouch.
Failures and underachievers in every sense of the word. Hey, maybe we can try and find Stamkos at even strength or Kucherov's ability to give a damn in this mess eventually. Last time I
Seinfeld's
fight
come
into
to
your
Florida
height,
if his
pathetic
team
fucks.
doesn't do well for you.
The killing fields are strewn with the blood and guts of the fallen. The final two contestants have emerged to compete for the holy grail of sports. Coming out of the dust of the West,
The Vegas Golden Knights.
this is me. And this is the gigantic pile of shit I'm about to eat on the Golden Knights once again.
That is one big pile of shit.
Now my body matches these videos. Full of shit. At first, we merely thought this would be a brief stretch after the Vegas shooting. They're going off of momentum. They keep winning. There's no way they're going to keep this up, though. I made a video on them, which is apparently the ultimate jinx on a team's success. They keep winning. The playoffs will expose them, though. The Kings are old vets and primed for another Cinderella run. They keep winning. The Sharks, though, are a true contender. All the pieces are lining up for them to win their
Damn it.
first cup.
Damn it.
They keep
No.
winning. Now the Jets, they are the great ones. They are a team of
Canada's
destiny,
hope.
taking out the Preds and have a Vezina-caliber goalie in net. Oh yes, my friends, they keep winning. They are the furthest thing from a fluke imaginable. The Knights are a well-oiled machine that stops for nothing. They do not care for your petty feel-good stories and years of hardship. The drums of war and cringe-worthy opening spectacles sound throughout the deep. Think about it for a second. In one goddamn year, the Knights have done what the Maple Leafs haven't done in 50 years, the Blues in almost 50 years, and the Blue Jackets, Coyotes, and Jets in their entire existence. Make the Stanley Cup final. In fact, they're the first expansion team to make the final since the aforementioned Blues in 1968. That team was in a watered-down conference with 5 other expansion teams and only played 2 rounds of playoff hockey. The Knights have no such asterisk. They have dismantled everything that has been thrown at them. They are a team in every sense of the word. Players cast off from other squads either due to misuse, cap restraints, age, or, in the case of Florida, gross incompetence in a regime and philosophy change. To be fair, nobody saw this coming. This was supposed to be their tank year. That's why they acquired shit tons of draft capital and maximized cap space in the expansion draft, to make noise 5 years down the road. But to imagine this 11 months ago, you would have been out of your goddamn mind. Even their owner expected them to struggle. The only way you saw them making the cup finals was if you either had a DeLorean or were a liar. Safe to say I have embraced the Knights. I love this team.
I'm getting your
No,
shirt.
it's not because of Marc-Andre Fleury playing like a living god or that potent first line or the
He is a
likability
god.
of the
He
players
is a
in
god.
depth.
He
It's
is a
because
god.
they are a shitposter's wet dream. They have effectively triggered the entirety of Canada. Because they have a chance to do what a Canadian team hasn't done in 25 years has brought out all of the traditionalists and fanboys of NHL fan bases everywhere. History has been revised. The expansion draft was apparently OP and needed to be nerfed in a patch. The fix is allegedly in. They were gifted stars. Bettman rigged everything so that they would win. Listen, just because your teams are incompetently run shitholes that stubbornly cling on to outdated ideals isn't grounds for jealousy. There's a reason a lot of my hockey bits this year have been on Canadian teams, you know. Shit ownership and shit management. Vegas just capitalized on the idiocy
He
of
hasn't done one
GMs
on the
looking
Jets
for
yet,
immediate
but
relief on
he'll
the
eventually
terrible
do it.
contracts they signed. The Knights don't have any of these albatrosses. They are fresh, and that may have been what allowed them to make it here. As for the East, who emerges from the rubble?
The Capitals.
Congratulations, your team finally made it past the second round of the playoffs.
Wow.
In fact, you guys did yourselves one further and sped past the third round in Ovi's first try as well. I know it's easy to laugh at the Capitals and their years upon years of failure, but if you saw the team this postseason, these are not the full Capitals of old. This team has mental resilience, they have tenacity, they have fortitude, they don't buckle under adversity anymore. Look at what happened against Columbus. Down 2 games after losing back-to-back overtime losses at home. Would be the end of them, right? Washington winning 4 straight in convincing fashion would say otherwise. Their boogeyman took them out after a 2-goal deficit in Game 1 as well. Unlike previous years, they do not crumble and finally slay the dragon. As for the Lightning, there was no chance for them, they said. They were choking again, they said. They lost 3 straight and had no momentum, they said. Well, look at them now. Besides their torrid power play, which needs no explanation as to why it dominates everything in their path, the style that the Caps play is very similar to a trap. Or should I say a trap on steroids. They rely on a punishing and opportunistic counterattack. However, the opposing goaltender now has to deal with high-end talent like Kuznetsov, Backstrom, Carlson, Oshie, and Ovechkin charging towards them. Yes, Alex Ovechkin, one of the greatest goal scorers of this generation. Every time he sits around near the left circle, you know he's just going to rip one of his legendary howitzers on the one time. He has played with a fire that we haven't seen in a long, long time. He's taken all of the unwarranted criticism by the pundits, all of the labels of choking, all of the frustrations and agony it has grown wins. Nothing will stop him. He stomps on his enemies while Kuznetsov does that cheesy-ass bird flap. Although Ovi has always had the choker label on him, there is solace. There was another great that also donned this profile, Steve Yzerman. For many years, Yzerman and the Red Wings either suffered humiliating defeats in the postseason or came up short against stronger teams. Yzerman was the whipping boy. They said he couldn't lead a team, in fact, nearly getting traded for Alexei Yashin. You know how the story ends, though. The Red Wings become a dynasty, Yzerman's legacy is repaired, and his past failures are forgotten. This could become Ovechkin's legacy as well. With the way he is playing, there is still time. This isn't the first time the Caps have been here, though. They made it to the Stanley Cup 20 years ago on the back of Oli the goalie in a surprise run. That dream was pulverized as they were swept aside by the aforementioned Empire. Hopefully a little better luck for them this time around. Ironically, against their old GM in George McPhee. The same one that built all of those Capitals juggernauts that constantly flopped in the postseason. The same one that brought us the laughter of trading Philip Forsberg for Martin Erat. He made it in a year in what took Ovi 14. It's either going to be the American version of Leicester City or the timely end to hockey's ultimate legacy of failure. Either way, one of these teams and several former Blues players are going to win their first cup. Into the arena we go. Ding! I know a lot of people are rooting for the Capitals to end their misery, but I'll be blunt. I'm a fan of a division rival. I don't care for these feelings. I despise this team. I find most of their players to be unlikable. Their coach is a whiny buffoon, and they actively cheer for a guy doing his imitation of Jason from Friday the 13th. I want nothing more than to see them fail. Their misery is good for business. And that's why I think they're going to win it all. You see, the Capitals have been good at neutralizing speed this postseason and using their size to impose their will. Vegas cannot match them in the latter department. The sports gods are also doing a good job at shitting all over whatever I do or say this year as well, so there's that trend going for the Caps too. I do not look forward to another video being relegated to a historical piece. Fuck.
Wow. Okay. Either he said that just so he can, like jinx the Capitals and allow Vegas to win, or he truly believes that the Capitals can win it all. Oh, wow. My analysis for the NHL playoffs will come after sometime Sunday or Monday, depends how I get this live stream thing going. But either case, it's gonna be it was a very interesting playoffs for the least. Vegas and Capitals, the first expansion team to ever make it besides the Blues, trying to win their first Stanley Cup, or the expansion team that had the worst record. Well, actually, Vegas had the best expansion team record for going to the Stanley Cup Finals versus Capitals, who had the worst expansion team year back in the 80s, finally getting their due now, even though they failed it the first time. Facing an expansion team. you can see where I'm going with this. But, oh, wow, that kind of hurt. And it was yeah, I'm gonna miss that. You can't get past the second round, or like the time we say the effing Penguins. The reason why the Capitals lose to, well, basically lose the same team all over again in the playoffs. I'm gonna miss that. That's like the perfect meme we can't destroy. Unlike movie things, sports team changes all the time, in my opinion, and believe me. Yeah. So, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. If you want to see more, comment, like, and subscribe. And see you then, sports fans. Bye bye.